Hey guys, Dr. Michigan Piper here, coming to you from the Pipe Rest. Doing something a little bit different today. I am smoking in English. Yes, believe it or not, I'm smoking in English, and yes, I have the hat on today because my wife is not a pipe smoke lover, and especially when it comes to Englishes, I'm sure, because she doesn't even like the smell of aromatics on me. Uh, I can tell you today that I have Kingsfoil from the Country Squire. And with it, I am having a Sam Adams Old Fezziwig to be in the season, and smoking it in my Crescent that I am very fond of. I think I'm going to turn into an English smoker if I decide to stick with the Englishes. Funny part was I did a video not too long ago about, well, if I'm an aromatic smoker, then I'm an aromatic smoker, and a couple of guys, Average John was one of them, and I think even Pat from Paladin Piper and I talked about, touching on some Englishes and stuff. And I've had Englishes before, not very many, not very often. I think I had 3 nuns twice, like 8-10 months ago, and I might have had one more. And the rest of them have all been aromatics. And so I pinched my pennies with my Christmas money and decided to do an order from Country Squire. I've been wanting to do an order from Country Squire for a long time now, for the Middle Earth series. But I wanted to make my order worth it. I didn't want to order like 1 or 2 things. So I got this, sample of the Middle Earth series, and along with that, I went ahead and got Kingsfoil and Choctaw and Bag End, and there's like 3 or 4 of them in there. So trying those out. Also waiting on an order to come in from Smoking Pipes. First time I've ordered from Smoking Pipes. Ordered some half and half, some Carter Hall. I got a tub of Carter Hall just because I want to start storing some of that away. I've heard that even though it's got a little bit of aromatic to it, you can cellar that. I've heard that from several different people now. And Nathan, thank you for that, by the way. So I got that coming from them, and I figured I'd dive into these. It's different, guys. For me, I was thinking about it, and it's like it's a cleaner, to me, it's a cleaner smoke, if that makes any sense whatsoever. The difference between smoking an English and aromatic. It's almost to me like it's thinner, almost like the comparison between hot chocolate and coffee. I like a good stout cup of coffee, but it's thinner than hot chocolate because I like a really thick, goopy hot chocolate. And this, I don't know if it's because it's Kingsfoil or if it's because it's in English, just seems to be a cleaner smoke, or like there's not as much stuff floating around in it. And I'm sure that's the case because of the toppings. But for those of you maybe that aren't to this point yet, that's kind of what I'm getting. For those of you who are probably laughing at me right now, like, yeah, duh, but that's what I'm getting, So yeah, it's different. I mean, I think if I had to make a decision, hey, do you want aromatics or do you want this for the rest of your life? Obviously, I pick aromatics, but this is not bad. And this is coming from somebody who, I'm not looking for a cigar type tobacco because I'm not a cigar smoker. If I wanted to smoke cigar tobacco, I'd smoke a cigar. Yeah, it's a very clean feel to it. Um, it's different. I don't dislike it. Uh, and I've got plenty to choose from, guys, to go through. I mean, I think 4 or 5 Englishes and another 4 or 5 aromatics. So I'll be boiling through those. I did try yesterday. My first tobacco from the Country Squire was Choctaw, and I hate to say it this way, but the only word I can think of is dreamy. I mean, it was wonderful. Um, it was that hot chocolate, with a lot of sugar. Forget the dogs are starting to play upstairs, but yeah, it definitely is a thinner, cleaner taste and feel to it. But yeah, I thought about. Oops, hang on a second. Work phone's ringing. Shouldn't have had that on. I thought about babbling just a little bit. I was flipping through YouTube the other day, and I came across. I guess he was a prepper, and it was kind of funny because this guy was like a lot of them, and I'm not a survival expert, guys, but like a lot of them, these guys, they buy this little metal canister heater thing with a gel in it, and they go out in the woods and they get a tin cup that they bought at Walmart, and then they set it up, and they think they're survivalist. And my fear is they're gonna mislead people. I'm not a prepper. I am not a survivalist, although I think it could be classified that by some people. I'm not end of times like the world's going to crap tomorrow, and yes, my phone. Sorry, the world's going to crap tomorrow, and I'm going to have to live out in the woods. However, I like to think that if it came down to something like that, I'd be able to fend for myself or my family. And I watched this video, and it just made me wonder how much false confidence there is out there, and that can be said about anything. But these guys get a backpack, and don't get me wrong, I actually have a backpack fetish, believe it or not. It's almost as bad as pipes. I gotta have a backpack for everything. But I go out in the woods. Was it last year before last? I took nothing, but it was like 30 degrees out or colder. It was just me, my tarp, and what I could pack on my back. And I went out in the middle, right on the edge of a field, and right next to the woods, and that's where I camped. And snow was on the ground, and I had a blast. But that doesn't qualify me to say I know everything for the end of times, And, I think Greg from Tunnel Take just did a giveaway where he gave some backpacks away. And to me, what he did was the right theory. He got them, basically it was a get home bag. There's nothing wrong with that. I think that, you have a castle, right? You need to start there. But I think, if you're preparing for the end times, however you want to put it, the end times or society falling apart or the government going awry or us being attacked or whatever, I think that you need to look at long term. Long term being, how are you going to feed yourself a month from now? Yeah, you can go out in the woods and you can shoot a deer, but where are you going to store that deer? You don't have any power. Oh, I got a generator. Well, if everything falls apart, do you really think that you're going to have a generator for long without any gas? It's like, well, I got battery power and solar. Well, those batteries are going to go out before it's all said and done. So, I think that guys, if they're along those lines of thinking and they want to prepare for that kind of thing, which I strongly suggest that you do, not in a freakish way where you're, you got 100,000 rounds of ammo for each gun that you own, and you own 200 guns. I'm just saying, if you want to prepare for something to happen, we all do it, right? There's guys talk about it on YTPC all day long about, buying all the tobacco up and cellaring it because what's going to happen to tobacco. I think that you would do good by studying community, what you can do as a community, get a skill that's valuable so that you can barter things because money's not going to be any good, right? Get skills that can produce things for your family. Like I've built a forge. I've got a forge out back. Not necessarily do I think that I'm going to be able to forge everything that I need. I can't forge food. But if I know how to forge and build things for people, maybe I can trade that for something else that I might need, like food. We've got some acreage, and I've heard people say, well, I've got 2 acres and I know how to garden. Well, yeah, good for you. However, a garden doesn't work all year round. So you got to know how to can. You got to know how to store that stuff so it doesn't get moldy and rot. You got to, and the other thing is, if I'm in the middle of a neighborhood and I've got a garden, who's to say that one night the neighbors don't decide to come and dig up my garden and now I'd have no food? My wife, I'd already told her because she's got horses. I said, just be prepared if something like that were to happen. And again, I'm not, saying it's going to happen tomorrow or going to happen at all. I mean, eventually God's coming, or Christ is coming back, and we'll deal with that. But I told her, I said, don't plan on having your horses. Somebody's going to come kill one of them horses for steaks. They'll kill that horse for one steak if they have to. And I can't say as I blame them if they're hungry enough. So just keep that kind of stuff in mind. If you're thinking about that, think about the stuff for long term. What can you do with your neighborhood? What kind of skills do you have? I've got a sewing machine, and it's kind of for decoration. However, it's a treadle sewing machine. The one that's got the rocker pedal underneath it, so it doesn't take any power. I did that on purpose. I like those, but I also want to make sure that I can sew up stuff if I have to, anything from leather to clothing, if we have to. I didn't go out and buy 30 cases of thread and have a basement full of cloth, to prepare. It's just that now I know that my wife knows how to sew. I haven't figured it out yet, but at least we have that if we need it. So, I think that the guys and gals that will do well if something were to ever happen are the ones who've thought it through, the ones who thought long term. Do you have a smaller gun? A lot of guys are like, well, I've got all these, ARs and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, well, here's the thing. If you need food and you're looking for a squirrel and you shoot it with an AR, you're going to have a patch of hair that big and no meat. So, you might want to think about getting a 22, or I've got a pellet gun, one, because they're fun to plink with, but two, can I take a squirrel with a pellet gun? I can. It's just those kind of things, guys, that I think will be very, very valuable if it were to ever come to that. Again, not saying it will, but there's always that possibility. So that's kind of my rant or rabble or babble on it, if you will. Just to think ahead. If what kind of knowledge do you have? What kind of skills? I mean, one last thing I'll leave you with is my mom. I was talking to her, and she's actually got one of those buckets in the basement. It's supposed to be like 30 days of food or whatever. And she's like, I got my bucket full of food downstairs, and if it ever comes down to it, then I've got all these recipes that I've saved on Etsy. And I'm like, Mom, if it comes to that, Etsy's not going to be around. There's going to be no internet. And she kind of got this look on her face like, good point. So, if you've got things, I've got a folder that has some bushcraft skills. I love practicing bushcraft, and I've got a folder that has some bushcraft things in it, how to tan a hide, and some of the weeds and stuff that you can eat and have medicinal purposes. I've got some of that stuff in a folder that's printed out, and it's fun to do. I thought when I did it, at least if, my son has grandkids for me, and they're growing up, I can teach them some of those long lost arts, if you will, or crafts. And who knows, maybe they're the ones that are going to be living in that situation. So just a thought, guys. Don't want to get all end of the world freaked out on you or anything, but just my 2 cents. So I'm going to relight this and really enjoy this, because the longer I smoke it, I think the more I enjoy it. So guys, I hope you all are doing well. Until next time, take care.